Question 1. What REST stands for? Answer. REST stands for Representational State Transfer. Question 2. What is REST? Answer. REST is web standards-based architecture and uses HTTP protocol for data communication. It revolves around resource where every component is a resource and a resource is accessed by a common interface using HTTP standard methods. REST was first introduced by Roy Fielding in 2000. In REST architecture, a REST server simply provides access to resources and REST client accesses and presents the resources. Here each resource is identified by URIs, global IDs. REST uses various representations to represent a resource like text, JSON and XML. Nowadays JSON is the most popular format being used in web services. Question 3. Name some of the commonly used HTTP methods used in REST-based architecture. Answer. Following well-known HTTP methods are commonly used in REST-based architecture. -get- provides a read-only access to a resource. Put- used to create a new resource. Delete- used to remove a resource. Post- used to update an existing resource or create a new resource. Options- used to get the supported operations on a resource. Question 4. What are web services? Answer. A web service is a collection of open protocols and standards used for exchanging data between applications or systems. Software applications written in various programming languages and running on various platforms can use web services to exchange data over computer networks like the Internet in a manner similar to inter-process communication on a single computer. Question 5. What are RESTful web services? Answer. Web services based on REST architecture are known as RESTful web services. These web services use HTTP methods to implement the concept of REST architecture. A RESTful web service usually defines a URI, Uniform Resource Identifier. A service provides resource representation such as JSON and set of HTTP methods. Question 6. What is a resource in REST? Answer. REST architecture treats every content as a resource. These resources can be text files, HTML pages, images, videos or dynamic business data. REST server simply provides access to resources and REST client accesses and modifies the resources. Here each resource is identified by URIs, global IDs. Question 7. How to represent a resource in REST? Answer. REST uses various representations to represent a resource where text, JSON, XML and JSON are the most popular representations of resources. Question 8. What are the best practices to design a resource representation? Answer. Following are important points to be considered while designing a representation format of a resource in a RESTful web services. Understandability - both server and client should be able to understand and utilize the representation format of the resource. Completeness - format should be able to represent a resource completely. For example, a resource can contain another resource. Format should be able to represent simple as well as complex structures of resources. Linkability - a resource can have a linkage to another resource. A format should be able to handle such situations. Question 9. Which protocol is used by RESTful web services? Answer. RESTful web services make use of HTTP protocol as a medium of communication between client and server. Question 10. What is messaging in RESTful web services? Answer. A client sends a message in form of a HTTP request and server responds in form of a HTTP response. This technique is termed as messaging. These messages contain message data and metadata, i.e. information about message itself. Question 11. What are the core components of a HTTP request? Answer. A HTTP request has 5 major parts. Verb - indicate HTTP methods such as get, post, delete, put etc. URI - Uniform Resource Identifier URI to identify the resource on server. HTTP version - indicate HTTP version, for example HTTP v1.1. Request header - contains metadata for the HTTP request message as key value pairs. For example, client or browser type, format supported by client, format of message body, cache settings etc. Request body - message content or resource representation. Question 12. What are the core components of a HTTP response? Answer. A HTTP response has four major parts: status, response code -indicate server status for the requested resource. For example, 404 means resource not found and 200 means response is okay. HTTP version -indicate HTTP version. For example, HTTP v1.1. Response header contains metadata for the HTTP response message as key value pairs. For example, content length, content type, response date, server type etc. response body response message content or resource representation. Question 13. What is addressing in RESTful web services? Answer. Addressing refers to locating a resource or multiple resources lying on the server. It is analogous to locate a postal address of a person. Question 14. What is the purpose of HTTP verb in REST-based web services? Answer. Verb identifies the operation to be performed on the resource. Question 15. What is statelessness in RESTful web services? Answer. As per REST architecture, a RESTful web service should not keep a client state on server. This restriction is called statelessness. It is responsibility of the client to pass its context to server, and then server can store this context to process client's further request. For example, session maintained by server is identified by session identifier passed by the client. Question 16. What are the advantages of statelessness in RESTful web services? Answer. Following are the benefits of statelessness in RESTful web services. Web services can treat each method request independently. Web services need not to maintain clients' previous interactions. It simplifies application design. As HTTP is itself a statelessness protocol, RESTful web services work seamlessly with HTTP protocol. Question 17. What are the disadvantages of statelessness in RESTful web services? Answer. Web services need to get extra information in each request and then interpret to get the client state in case client interactions are to be taken care of. Question 18. What do you mean by idempotent operation? Answer. Idempotent operations means their result will always same no matter how many times these operations are invoked. Question 19. Which type of web services methods are to be idempotent? Answer. Put and delete operations are idempotent. Question 20. What is the difference between put and post operations? Answer. Put and post operation are nearly same, with the difference lying only in the result, where put operation is idempotent and post operation can cause different result.